Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, I am here today to do a video that is different than anything I have actually done before, but this is something that has been requested not once, not twice, but 3 times in another one of my videos. This is actually going to start off an entire series of videos that I plan to do. So if you have any requests, please put them in the comment section down below. I was reminded that not all of us come from a place where we know automatically how to run certain appliances and different things like that. It is something a lot of us actually take for granted. So this video and any in these series, this series may seem kind of odd or not as useful for some people. But guys, let's just show grace for those who that this is really helpful to, and maybe you know somebody who could actually use this. So today's video is how to run your stove or oven or whatever. This is all coming at this point from the review videos where I showed our appliances, including the stove. And I think some of the requests were actually pointed at this specifically or something very similar. But while I'm going to show mine specifically, this is also a general how-to. We can't take for granted that not everybody has been taught all of this stuff up front. And yeah, you know what? I'm sure somebody is going to find the moment to comment and say, well, read the manual. Guess what? Some people are more visual learners than through reading and stuff. They need to see it in action. So there's no harm in doing it. Anyhow, I hope you guys like this video. Let's take a look at the oven and let me show you how to work it. Okay, first thing first, this is a GE slate finish, and I didn't scrub the outside of the door. A GE slate finish oven and range. It is gas. It does have an internal broiler with the drawer in the bottom. I will run through all of that. So if yours is electric, some of this is going to be different. If you have a different make or model, some of it might be slightly different, but guys, a lot of things are pretty standard. And as long as you know the basics, you should be able to figure it out. So the most basic is going to be to turn on your burners. So for gas, I'm turning it the wrong direction because I'm looking at the camera, not this. So you got to get the lighter or the clicker to light the gas. Then you're going to adjust the flame based on what you need. This does not work the same as electric, where you can just go low, medium, high. You got to figure out what size of pan and how close you want that flame. Gas is amazing to cook with, but there is a small learning curve. So since I just turned that burner on, I'm actually going to come over to this side. For cleaning purposes, guys, first of all, the grates on every stovetop are going to come off. Even electric ones, the only one would be the glass top. That's not going to come off. Sometimes, though, the top will lift even on the glass top. If you've got a coil burner for electric, usually the coil pulls out and the top does lift, and there's actually a ton of crumbs under most people's because they don't realize that that lifts. I didn't for the longest time either. On a gas range, these little covers are what help distribute the flames out each of these little holes. So this back here is your starter, and then the gas is going to come through, it's going to light the flame, and it's going to come out each of these little notches. That's what this cover right here is for. It just sits on. Now there are some stoves where these are actually attached. So you simply need to know if yours is attached or if it lifts off. If it lifts off, guys, wash these. They get nasty. At least, if nothing else, take a cloth to them and wipe them down. Which you can see I've wiped this, but I'm going to have to wash this one again soon. So same thing, just a much larger version. Okay, that is your stovetop basic. Now, most of the questions have actually come about how to run the oven, and that is understandable. Now, first thing first, let me turn on my light. I'm going to tell you guys a little story. If you happen to also follow me on Instagram, which is also Black Hills Mommy, I started an oven fire yesterday. It was actually kind of scary. I had to get all the kids out of the house. but I had enough knowledge about how to put out a grease fire, or what to and not to do with a grease fire, that I managed to get it out, which was a blessing considering I could not get my 911 call to go through. A whole other story. So the reason I tell you this is you're gonna notice there's a white residue back in there. The entire inside of my oven was black. And I cleaned it really well with baking soda and vinegar earlier to get all the residue up and get the rest of the grease out. And then I ran the oven, and that always exposes some residue that was left behind. So I will come through here later and wipe this down again, but that is not harmful. The reason I use baking soda and vinegar is no harsh chemicals. It doesn't matter what you use unless it's just straight water. It's gonna leave some sort of residue. I would much rather have my oven burning off baking soda and vinegar than I would some harsh chemical that could potentially harm somebody in my house. So there's that. Now in this model, I'm gonna come down here. You can see this is actually my broiler in this. So if I turn that broiler on, the flames are gonna come out of those two grate areas, and that is what I'm gonna do. So to use it, I'm gonna move this top rack to the top position to get things as close to that broiler as possible, depending on the size of it. The only thing I truly use it for is creme brulee, but you can also put steaks and things like that under there. So that is what the broiler would be for. Your oven racks, guys, if you don't know, you're always gonna want your primary use oven rack in the middle. Things are just gonna cook the most even there. In an electric oven, a lot of times your heat source is in the top. Sometimes it is in the bottom. It just depends on your oven. This being gas, my primary heat source, is in the bottom under that plate, which is also why that grease caught fire. Grease that I didn't actually realize was there. We do occasionally put stuff on both racks. The closer your rack is to your heating source, the faster something's gonna cook and the more likely you're gonna burn the outside of it. So just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and close this up. I'm gonna show you guys this drawer. Now I did not think to clean this drawer first, so actually it does not look bad. This, in our electric stoves, we just used this as a storage drawer for glass casserole dishes and things like that. Once upon a time, these were used as warming drawers because it does get warm in there when that oven is on. So, I mean, think a long time ago, somebody would make a plate and, you know, the husband isn't home from work yet, stick his plate down in the warming drawer, or rolls or something like that you just want to warm up but not actually bake again, would go down in that warming drawer. So that's what that is traditionally there for. What you use it for is gonna kind of be up to you. Okay, back up to the burners really quick. So pay close attention. Some of them have this grid on there and it's gonna tell you which burner position that knob is for. Sometimes it'll say it a little bit differently. Just kind of take a minute and orient yourself with that. This one works the long burner. There is another model of this stove that rather than a grate actually has a griddle plate that runs across the middle that you can cook bacon and pancakes and all that good stuff on, and that's what that burner is for. But for us, we wanted the grates all the way across. We don't typically have a use for the large one in the middle anyhow. You can actually buy a separate griddle as well to set on top of here. But for us, with our large family, we use really big pots. So I need something that the pot can swing over here and sit on this without having any issues. So that is why that is for us. For those who don't know, there's usually some sort of lip back here. This is actually where your oven vents. So that heat's gonna come out. Anything you set to the back of the stove, be super careful. You are gonna melt plastic and other things. If you have a pot or pan sitting back here, normally my cast iron skillet sits at the back of the stove when it's not in use, if I'm not storing it in the oven. So since I keep that back here a lot of times, and it's cast iron, it gets hot if I'm not careful. And there's been a couple times I wasn't thinking, I went to grab the handle and I was like, oh, never mind. So I always use pot holders or just do a quick, you know, tap test to see if it's hot on your fingertips. But be careful not to burn yourself. Okay, so from there, once you move up from the vent, which FYI, when I started my oven fire, there was smoke rolling out of here. I thought it was the pan I had laid up here that it was coming off of, but it wasn't. It was actually coming out of the back of the stove. So you can also see what time I am doing this video at. So if I have to pause it for any reason, you guys are going to be able to catch that. So let's go ahead and start at the far left, and then we're going to work our way across to the right, okay? First option is going to be bake. This is how you turn your oven on. So we're going to go ahead and hit that. Now it's flashing because most ovens are default at 350 degrees. If you want it higher or lower, you need to use your controls here. Now mine does 5 increments, so just like that. If 350 is what I want it at, I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Now some ovens you're going to hit bake a second time, but some of them it turns it off. Now you'll see here it says pre. For those who are not familiar with this, that actually means it's preheating. So it's not going to be hot instantly, and it's going to say that right up until the oven is at 350 degrees. So I'm going to leave that on so you can see what happens, and hopefully it'll show up by the time I'm done. Otherwise, I'll come back and show you. Actually, now that I've said that, I'm going to have to turn it off to show you one more thing, and then I'll turn that back on for you. Okay, so now that we're done there, see now I can hit bake again, and it's going to allow me to change the temperature. That's going to be it. See, I can hit bake all I want to on this one. It's not going to change anything. So I actually have to hit cancel or off to turn the oven off now. Now broil. This is going to be high or low, meaning high heat, low heat. Either way, remember, you are putting your food up directly against that heating element. It normally is a very short cook time you're going to broil something. So like when I do creme brulee, it's 30 to 60 seconds is all. But you know, go ahead and hit that. See, it says high. I'm going to hit it again for low, and it's just going to switch back and forth. When I decide which one I want, I'm going to hit start, and it's going to heat up to high. Now, that flame is automatically coming out. In fact, let me see if I can come down here and show you. Let me turn off the light. There you go. You can see that that is it warming up. Now, pretty soon, you can see it's getting brighter and warmer in there. So you want to give it a few minutes to fully heat up. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to go ahead and turn bake back on so that that can preheat for you guys. That's what broil does there. Self-clean. Now this is an option a lot of new stoves come with. Guys, don't use it. I know that the controls are getting better and better, but it is just not worth it. And I say that because if you look into it, self-clean is basically the highest temperature your stove can get to. And it's going to run it like that for a couple hours, I believe. What it essentially does is it burns everything off, and then you have to come home and wipe out all the ashes. It is going to make your house stink. It typically releases chemicals from being heated that high, which is not safe to breathe. Most people have to leave their house. But tell me how safe it is to leave your house when you've got your oven turned on that high. It's not. Also, there's very few times a year you can actually do that. If you do decide to use it, there is a lock feature that is, oh, apparently mine's really gross. This is a little lock handle. This door is not supposed to be able to open once I have that open, or once I have that locked. But truth be told, I don't use this feature. See, it even says clean on there. So you're supposed to have that in place in order to use that self-clean feature. It's not something I use because it's just not safe. And guys, it takes me 15 minutes to clean out my oven. And it's not that big of a deal. So I will do a separate video on how to clean your oven safely. if anybody would like that. If you want to use it, I suggest you read your instructions. That's the one thing you're really not going to learn from me. Oven light's going to be self-explanatory. Timer. Now, the timer and the clock, guys, this is similar but different on every single oven. I'm going to go ahead and press timer. I'm going to set it for 10 minutes. Mine jumps in 10-minute increments. So it's really touchy. And then I have to hit it again to officially start it once that light is solid. Now, if I adjust the temperature of the oven while the timer is going, the oven temperature is actually going to show over it. So do not panic and think that your timer is not working. As long as that light is on, it means it is running. When the timer is over, it will still beep and it will show up again. So then you can turn it off at that point. Okay, so you saw how I touched it and it wanted me to change the time, and then I had to hit it again to actually turn it off. To set your clock, same kind of concept. You're gonna hit set clock, and then you're gonna mess with the plus and minus controls. Cook time and delay time. Now, this is like it down here, it says automatic oven, and that will light up. Cook time is, let's say I am gonna put a lasagna in the oven, and I only want it to cook for an hour, but I plan on being outside doing yard work, and I may not be paying attention to the clock. I'm going to use that cook time so that the oven will turn off at that point, and then it will start cooling down while I'm out there until I come in. Same kind of concept with the delay time. So if I'm going to head outside at 3 o'clock and I've got a chicken casserole that needs to start cooking at 4 o'clock, I can use that delayed time to start, or tell that it underneath it says time of day, so I can tell it to start cooking at 4 o'clock. And then for that, I need to have the cook time set. But here's my problem with that, guys, and I've never used either of those functions because it never seems to fail that something's going to need a different amount of cook time. Now, a lot of things I have figured out, but it's just not a function I would use. I'd rather set a timer on my phone and say, hey, get your butt back in the house and take this out of the oven or check it. So that is a function there. So guys, this is pretty standard on every oven that is electronic. If you've got knobs, it's going to be a little bit different. You're not going to have the screen and all that stuff. But for the most part, regardless of whether you have GE, LG, Samsung, Maytag, KitchenAid, they've all got a lot of the same options. Now, convection oven's going to have a little bit more. I do not have that option on mine, so that I'm not able to show you. But I am sure if you have questions, I can help you figure it out, or somebody else might be able to chime in with that. Okay, guys, so there it was. That is the basics of how to operate your oven using the GE Slate gas oven and range model. If you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to leave it down in the comment section below. I am happy to answer anything that I possibly can. I don't always know the answers. I do try though. So don't be afraid to do that. If there's anything else that you have questions about how to use, feel free to leave that in the comments below, and I will see what I can do for that on the videos. Like I said, I want to start doing a series of these because a lot of us really do take a lot of this stuff for granted. And you know, that's why. I'm a mom and I teach this stuff to kids every single day. One of the joys of homeschooling and stuff too. So I'm going to look at this as just teaching another one of my kids. Anyhow, I hope that you are having a blessed day. I hope that this video helped you and that you will make sure to like this video. Subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss everything else. And I will see you in the next one. Guys, I forgot to show you the oven as it's finishing preheating. And check out that timing. It just went from pre to 350. That means it is officially at 350 degrees and it is ready for me to put food in the oven and get things going. So It's that simple. You just have to be patient and wait for it. I would say that took right about 10 minutes total to go from room temperature to 350 degrees.